Hello, people. Today is actually an exciting day. This is going to be the relaunch of my YouTube channel. This is very likely going to be the first video that I put up since I had started my other YouTube channel and I took the videos down from my other YouTube channel. And the reason I restarted the channel is I write about these things. I talk about these things with my friends, with my family, all the subjects that we're going to talk about in this channel. Figure of speech to describe what we're going to talk about on this channel is we are going to go down the rabbit hole. And so the name of the channel, In the Realms of Pseudo, I actually love that name, and this is the reason that I love that name. It's because we're going to discuss untouched theory. We're going to be almost like in search of the truth when it comes to untouched theory and concepts. But the reason that I like the title In the Realms of Pseudo, pseudo is because even though pseudo, the word pseudo is usually accompanied by the word science, pseudoscience, people usually attribute those terms as to meaning fake science. But the reality of the matter was there are so many things about human nature and us that is untouched. There's humans are just kind of like scratching the surface of certain things about us, certain truths about us. And we are going to discuss on this channel a variety of subjects. So that's just supposedly a brief interview, dialogue on what we're going to discuss in this channel. So the topic for today's discussion, which we're going to get into, is what is a frenemy and do I have one? So bear with me since the relaunching of the videos, you're going to see the lighting might not be spectacular. My cats are in my room. I may have to pause the video and kick them out. I rescue cats and I have quite a few in the house. We may hear them jumping around. And anyway, we're going to just get right into the topic. So a frenemy. What is a frenemy? What is an enemy? Because a frenemy is, as you know, it is a friend that is an enemy. How does that make sense? So the very first thing I want to do, and I have a number of things to look for if you're trying to ascertain if your friend is actually a frenemy. And so let's read the definition first because that is going to get us quite far. And we are going to read the definition of not a frenemy. We're going to read the definition of an enemy. And here is where it's going to begin to shed light on this serious topic. It's actually a serious topic. It's kind of funny when you're like, do you know what a frenemy is? I told the kid this that way. I told him, I said, I'm going to make a YouTube video. I think my first video when I relaunched my YouTube channel is what is a frenemy. Do you know what a frenemy is? And he said, I thought he was going to say no because he was young, much younger. And he said, oh yeah. And I'm like thinking, you had a frenemy at your young age? I mean, I don't want to say how old he was, but he was like really young. But apparently a frenemy, the definition of a frenemy is universal. But the reason we're going to discuss it is because it's actually quite serious. And that's what we're going to, this is where you're going to start to understand. We dive down the rabbit hole in this channel. So an enemy, you ready? From Oxford Dictionary. An enemy is a person who actively opposed or hostile or is hostile to someone or something. Is actively opposed. So if someone opposes you, are they your friend? No, they're against you or they are hostile. What does hostility mean? Hostility can mean violence. It can mean verbal aggression. It can mean a lot of things. So now look at the synonyms that they accompany the definition of enemy with. Foe. It is a foe. An enemy is a foe. It is an adversary. Now, this is where you start to see it is really problematic if you have a frenemy. It is an opponent. It is a rival. I had a friend that I said sometimes she was like my friend, but she was more like a rival. Turned out when I actually really processed it, and there were really things, I had conflicting pieces of evidence against like her being my friend or as opposed to her being my rival. And I finally came to, what is that word? I came to the conclusion that she really wasn't my friend. She was not. And maybe one day I'll make a video on what is a rival as opposed to a true friend. Is it your friend or is it my rival? And you're going to see that certain definitions are going to overlap the definition of a frenemy. So it also is An enemy is also a nemesis. If you're into X-Men, Marvel, what's the other one? DC, there's always a nemesis. Yes, the nemesis. Antagonists. In many plots, when it comes to writing, if you're a writer, there is an antagonist in the plot. Antagonist can be a character, a combatant, a challenger, a competitor, or the opposition. So all these are synonyms of an enemy. So let's continue. Now, there is another definition that is really, really, really important. Here it goes. A full meaning of enemy, and this is a broader view, an AI view of an enemy. And AI is really good when it comes to some things, and I do like it for a content summary. And look at what it actually says the full definition of an enemy is. It is someone who opposes or is hostile to another person. Now remember, we read that with the Oxford Dictionary definition of enemy. But look, the AI definition goes a little further. It also can be, an enemy can also be a group or an idea. Ignore that part. We are actually talking about a person. We're not talking about a group in these scenarios. It is a person. I'm adding that. I'm omitting the group or idea part. That often carries with it the intent to harm or injure them. That was the part I was trying, because I'm trying to piece together and I grasped those words out. It is with the intent to harm or injure them. So an enemy is a real serious thing. It also goes on to say it can describe something that is harmful or detrimental to something else. So the harm is very, very real, and the harm can be a little bit, could hurt your feelings, that is harm, or it can be extravagant, where the enemy can have taken your life. We just went on like two ends of the spectrum in regards to how much harm they can cause. And so one more thing, the definition of an enemy, I should have made this a video as to what is an enemy or what is a frenemy. Maybe this will be the short version of it. An enemy, also the word is derived from, I lost it. Where is it? It has origins, there it goes, of Latin and Old French and parts of English, Middle English. So in Latin, it's inimicus, okay? And that means two words, in amicus. In meaning not, and amicus meaning friend. So in Latin, the word enemy, inimicus, means not a friend. Very interesting. In Old French, it's ennemi, ennemi, spelled with an I at the end, E-N-E-M-I. In English, Middle English, it's enemy with a Y at the end, E-N-E-M-Y, Y at the end, I meant to say Y. And so I find it very interesting, the root words of what is an enemy and what is a frenemy. So a frenemy is a friend who is really not your friend, as in the Latin definition. It is not a friend. A frenemy is a person who poses as your friend, but is actually your enemy. So we are going to cut this video. And the title of this video is going to be What is a Frenemy? Because we broke down the definitions. I don't want to make my videos too long and I don't want to bore you to death. So I'm going to make a longer version of what is a frenemy and entitle it possibly long version, because we're going to actually go get into the signs to look for on if I have a frenemy. What is a frenemy and do I have one? So this is going to be the short version, and then I'm going to immediately post the long version. And the long version of what is a frenemy is going to have, I have 11 points to cover. So see you in the next video. Another thing about my videos, you can listen to them. You don't necessarily need to watch me. As many YouTubers, they have podcasts. You can listen to them. It's so delightful when you can just hear the points and you can learn from it. So in my videos, let me know how I'm doing. Post comments at the bottom about anything that you want, any suggestions, any recommendations, and any video topics. In my voice, being that I'm just going to end the video at about 10 minutes, this is not my real voice. I caught pneumonia about 4 months ago. I am better, but the inadvertent effect was that the pneumonia took my voice. It was one of those weird strands that was similar to COVID. It came and it was the flu that turned into pneumonia. And so this is not my real voice. I do not have a really raspy voice. I actually like to sing. I have a uh, kind of different type of voice, which you would never know. So it may change in the future. That's why I'm mentioning it right now. So we're at 10 minutes and I'm going to cut this video. I'm going to post it. It's probably going to be the very first video on the what is a frenemy. What is the definition of a frenemy? And yeah, I hope you like my channel, and we are definitely going to go down the rabbit hole in this channel, and I hope you liked it. See you around.